All right, 4.2 angle relationships. We're actually going to write this in terms of a conditional statement for these three theorems. So the first one says, if we have a triangle, then the interior angles sum up to 180 degrees. So if we wanted to solve this one, we could set up the equation, we'll call that x since we don't know what it is, 82 plus 27 plus x is equal to 180. Remember, kind of what I've said in the past is that most of the problems that we set up are either going to be we're going to add stuff and set them equal to 180, or that we're going to just set two things equal. So this is no exception with our triangle sum theorem here. And I know the theorem here might be kind of obvious, but we are going to deal with stuff in semester 2 where it's not going to be a triangle, and we're going to have some sum theorems that are not triangles. So, but our first one here that you have to worry about, and once again, when I say worry about, I mean this is going to constantly repeat, so you want to make sure that you're good at this one, is the triangle sum theorem, where we add three angles up of a triangle, and they add up to 180. So if I finish this problem out, we have 109 plus x equals 180 when I combine like terms, and then we eventually will get 71 degrees as our answer for that problem. So the measurement of angle T is equal to 71 degrees. All right, exterior angle theorem. And I'm not really going to write this one as a conditional statement, just a little bit more complicated that way. All right, so the sum of the two interior angles of a triangle equal the measurement of the other exterior angle. So that's a lot of words there, so let me kind of break it down a little bit. So it means if I take this measurement and I take this measurement and I sum them, right? So the sum of two interior angles, we have interior angle 92 degrees, interior angle 38 degrees, and I sum them, then that measurement total, so 92 plus 38, is going to equal the other interior angle, okay, which would be this one. The other interior angle is exterior. And so that's going to equal x. So then I can actually do the math here and find out that x is equal to 130 degrees. And honestly, this is a good thing to know, but it's important to keep in mind that this just stems from triangle sum theorem and linear pair theorem. So let's talk real quick about this. If I know this is 92 and 38, then I can do triangle sum theorem and figure out that, oh, okay, so this is going to equal 130. I subtract that from 180, and I find out what r is. And I'm like, oh, okay, this is 50 degrees. And now once you know that's 50 degrees, you can do your linear pair knowledge and know that a whole line makes up 180. So then I have to do 180 minus 50, and that's going to give me the 130 that x is right here. So this exterior angle theorem is good to kind of know. It's a shortcut, essentially, though. You can always do a step of triangle sum theorem and then do a step of supplementary to get the answer if you'd like to as well. And then third angle theorem I am going to write as a conditional. All right, and hopefully this one is a little bit obvious for you, but it says if two pairs of angles are congruent between two triangles, so we have angle B is congruent to angle E. I'll write that down. Angle B is congruent to angle E, and I know this because of the angle markings. And we know angle A is congruent to angle D. So if we have two pairs of angles congruent, then this tells me that the third pair of angles also has to be congruent. So I know that angle C and angle F have to be congruent. So there's those three dots in a triangle mean therefore. So if I know the top two things, then therefore I know that angle C is going to be congruent to angle F. And once again, this just stems from triangle sum theorem, right? If these two angles, let's say, sum to 100 degrees, then these two also have to sum to 100 degrees because they're congruent, and therefore we have these being 80 degrees and having to be congruent. So, once again, I can't iterate enough. Triangle sum theorem is your friend. Get used to it. And if you know this, then these two basically become easy. All right, so let's find the measure of each angle here. So for this one, let's just set up some equations here. go ahead, see if you can do any of them on your own, pause the video, and then come back and you will see them. So for number 1 here, we're going to have an equation of 30 plus 35 plus x is equal to 180. So this is just a triangle sum theorem problem. We know 2 angles, we need to find the third, so we can add them up and then set it equal to 180. So this is going to be 65 plus x is equal to 180. Subtract 65, subtract 65, and you get an answer of x is equal to 115. So then the measurement of angle B is 115 degrees. Next one. Okay, we don't know what this is, but we know x, x, and x. We know all those angles are congruent. So because I know they're all congruent, I can give them the same variable name. So let's say x, and then I can add them up and set them equal to 180. X plus x plus x is going to be 3x equals 180. Then divide by 3, and we get x equals 60. And if you remember when we were talking about equiangular triangle, we did talk about that all those angles were going to be 60 degrees. And then this last one over here, once again, I apologize, some of the markings not being real thick. We know angle T is congruent to angle U because we have the tick mark there. We know angle Q has 2 tick marks, angle T has 2 tick marks. So therefore, because 2 pairs of angles are congruent in a triangle, I know that x has to equal 35. I know those 2 angles also have to be congruent. So therefore, the measurement of angle P is simply 35 degrees. All right, next column. This one's very similar to just triangle sum theorem. We know this is a right angle, so therefore it has to be 90 degrees. And so I can set up the equation 90 degrees plus 20 plus, we'll call it y. We'll call it something different here. Y is going to equal 180. When I solve for this, I get that this is 70 degrees. All right, and this next one, once again, you can tackle it 2 different ways. If you want to use that exterior angle theorem, that's great. I'm going to use triangle sum theorem and just keep it consistent because that is the easiest way to do it. But remember that exterior angle theorem is your shortcut, so that'll for sure be the fastest way to do it. But if I know that this is a 130 degree angle right here, then this has to be 180 minus 130, which is going to be 50 degrees. So I know that that angle is 50 degrees, so now I can set up the equation 50 plus 65 plus L is going to equal 180. Add these 2 together, 115 plus L equals 180. And then lastly, we get L is equal to, when I subtract that, 65 degrees. So the measurement of angle L is going to be 65 degrees. All right, and this last one is looking for VWY. That's this angle. Once again, we can attack this one through triangle sum theorem, or we can just use exterior angle theorem. So if we do triangle sum theorem, if we know angle Y is 40 and angle X is 80, then I can set up the equation 40 plus, I don't know, let's call this A. 40 plus A plus 80 is going to equal 180. Add the 40 and the 80 to get 120. And then subtract from 180 to get A is equal to 60. So I know that this guy right here is going to be 60 degrees. And then I can use my knowledge of supplementary to know that this angle has to be 180 minus 60, which is going to be 120. If you did external angle theorem, then you know that 40 plus 80, the sum of these 2 angles equals this angle. So you can literally just do 40 plus 80, get 120, and that's your answer as well. All right, so this back of this page is actually pretty complicated. So the goal for number 2 is that you can figure out all those angles. You're going to use a whole lot of knowledge of what you know. So you're going to use your knowledge of vertical angles. Like, for example, I can see that this is 60 degrees, and this is a vertical angle of it, so you should know what angle 2 is right away. You're going to use your knowledge of triangle sum theorem. You're going to use your knowledge of supplementary with linear pairs and whatnot. So go ahead and give this a shot. See if you can figure it all out. And then you can actually check the notes on Schoology to check to see if you are correct. Same thing for number 3. 3 is pretty complicated. Give it a shot, and then the answers are up on Schoology in the notes section as well. For this number 2, though, I will tell you, you're not going to go in order of 1 through 9. So feel free to skip around when you know something. In fact, number 5 might be pretty easy to come up with the answer for that right away, knowing that that's a right angle. All right, good luck.